British Cycling Elite Circuit Series is here in Stafford for round number 2. We saw Otley stage the first race where Dan McClay entertained the massive crowds.
Well, it's all important this corner. Dan McClay dives on the inside, riding for Breton Sechet. This man comes from Leicester. He's funded by the Dave Rayner Fund based here in Yorkshire. Dan McClay takes the Otley Grand Prix. That was a spectacular final corner.
Absolutely superb. Took a really tight line on the inside. Went under Chris Latham, who managed to hold on for second spot, and John Mould third there for One Pro Cycling. What a finale it was.
Over the next month, some of Britain's fastest circuit riders compete in this 8-race series for the title Elite Circuit Champion 2015. Staffordshire's Festival of Cycling is the host for round 2. Now I'm here with Matt Winston from One Pro Cycling. Matt, great start in Otley on Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were really pleased with that. 2 riders in the leading group of 20 that went up the road. We had John Mould and George Atkins in there, and they're our 2 guys that we're going to be working for the overall, so we were pleased that they managed to get in the move, and John finished off with a good sprint.
Now, how have the riders recovered? Because they've literally had a couple of days and they're back racing again. What's the recovery process been like?
So depending on kind of where the riders in the country are, some have stayed in a hotel, some have gone home for a couple of nights. It's kind of varied between each rider. They'll have finished the race on Wednesday night. They did a good warm down, 20 minutes warm down, a little ride yesterday, and then a short ride this morning, and then into Stafford ready for tonight.
And in terms of tactics for this evening, what as a team are you guys going to work towards?
I think position is really important. Obviously it's tight, so the bunch will become really stretched out, so we need to hold position at the front, cover any moves that are going up the road, make sure we always have a rider in those moves, and if it's a big move with 2 or 3 riders represented from other teams, then we need to replicate that a little bit, and then when it comes down to a bunch sprint, we'll be probably riding for Mouldy in the bunch sprint.
And you're confident, you're happy with your performance from Wednesday moving on for this evening?
Yeah, we're targeting the overall, so it's about consistency through this series as well, so we'll look for another consistent result, try and get on the podium once again.
So talk me through the course for this evening.
The course this evening is very technical. It's quite tight, it's quite twisty. There's 7 corners in total on there, which over this distance of course is a lot of corners to contend with. It's constant accelerations out of each bend, so the riders slow down into the bends, use the brakes, corner, and then it's a big acceleration out each time.
Great, well thank you very much for that. So that's everything in terms of the course. Let's take a look at the top contenders of our riders for this evening. Round 2 here in Stafford. How was Otley for you?
Otley was good. Started well and ended badly, sadly. Started really well, but just didn't have the legs at the final and got caught behind a crash. And yeah, that's racing. Can't do anything about it. But look forward to tonight and hopefully do a lot better and get stuck in.
It was my first time in Otley, and it's a big circuit. It was good after my national championship. And I take the 4th place, and it's okay for me. It's a good result. Okay. I think I will start on the front. It's good news for me, and yeah, I try to take the podium again for tonight.
It's always easier at the front of the race in the sort of first 10. And the further you go back, it's sort of like an elastic outside of the outside the first 10. So it's a lot harder at the back than it is at the front. You know, the first rider could be 20 seconds around the next corner by the time you're coming around the corner. So it's really sort of staying in that first part, and you can't all be there. So you're all trying to be, but you know, every rider from every team wants to be there. So sometimes there's a few crashes trying to get there.
Congratulations for your placing in Otley. You must have been pleased with that.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. It was Dan got into the last bend, which was the important part first, and pretty much stayed as it was to the finish line. So different course tonight though, so hopefully a bit better. So
surely you're going into tonight with quite a bit of confidence.
Yeah, it's all of us. We've got George and Josh here as well, so any of us can win, so it should be good.
Well, I think everyone's going to keep away from you when you start spraying that champagne on the podium. You were a bit lethal with that the other night.
Yeah, I was a good shot on Dan. Got him pretty much all my bottle over him, so that was a good one.
You're trying to get him back there, weren't you?
Yeah, I stuck it to him. He put me away in the race. I'll put him away with the champagne afterwards.
There's the leading contenders for tonight. Let's take a look at the series standings so far. Dan McClay leads the way with 30 points from 100% Me's Chris Latham on 28, and John Mould of One Pro Cycling is on 26. Remember, the point system goes all the way down to 20th position, who gains 1 point. The overall winner of the series being the rider who gains the highest total across all 8 races. Let's get on with the action. Talking you through the race this evening is former British road race champion Matt Stevens. But first, Anthony McCrossan.
Thanks, Hannah. The big peloton lined up for 50 minutes and 5 laps of racing, and a totally different course to that we saw in Otley just a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, the Otley circuit, Anthony, back 2.5 kilometres round. This round 1 kilometre with 7 corners. Very, very tight circuit indeed, and that's why we're seeing the national criterium champion, Adam Blythe, in that lovely kit, of course, riding for Orica Green Edge, taking to the front straight away, because, Anthony, that is the best place to be on a circuit like this. Well,
as you go through the corners in one long line, you're pretty much round the next bend by the time all the rest of the peloton are sprinting out of it.
You certainly are right, Anthony. It's a very technical circuit, and the narrowness, of course. You're just seeing a great shot here of Blythe taking these corners, just picking his way round. It makes it extremely difficult to people to move up, and that's why we're seeing riders warming up so much on the rollers, because this is a flat stick effort from the gun.
Sitting on his wheel then is Morgan Aniski, the rider who rides for Rally GAC. He finished 4th the other night in Otley, and great to see this Frenchman riding on British soil.
And fair play to Sherry Prudent, the director sportif of Rally GAC. Over the last few years, has obviously got a core of British riders, but some really interesting foreign talent coming in. And Konieczny, what a find. Great cyclocross rider, but 3 times, Anthony, as you mentioned, a world champion on the track, and currently the world Madison champion with Brian Coquard, who's overriding the Tour de France at the moment.
He is. Well, Morgan Aniski is a rider who, when he first got here, he didn't speak an awful lot of English, but he's worked really hard on it. His English getting better and better all the time. Blythe then leads out of that corner and accelerates again. Dave McGowan near the front for this Pedal Heaven team. He's been riding well in these criteriums.
Yeah, they certainly have. Pedal Heaven having a very, very good season indeed, really punching above their weight, especially in the recent Tour Series, where they rode extremely well. But now it's Atkins, George Atkins on the front. The series winner a couple of years back for One Pro Cycling, really stretching them out now with that pretty interesting beard.
There are some pretty shaggy beards in this peloton right now. Up towards the front is Davy Lyons. We nicknamed him Wavy for his exploits in the Tour Series in Exeter in the first year. Full-time fireman. They're in the red and black, riding for Veloshore. About 8 riders from the front.
Yeah, the Veloshore started primal team, a fixture of the circuit over the last couple of years, and he's one of the riders, again, despite holding down a full-time job, can really mix it in these crits. But at the moment it's still Atkins, One Pro Cycling, leading them around, keeping that pace at very, very high, and it looks like that's Konieczny now taking to the front.
Near the front also Johnny McAvoy riding for the NFTO team. McAvoy is a rider who has ridden in the European level again for the NetApp Enduro squad, and it looks like Rally really want to bring this tempo up a little bit, trying to disturb the pacemaking of One Pro Cycling.
Yeah, the early pace really, really high. Just see a few other teams going through there. Harry Tanfield for Condor, JLT, Andy Tennant there for Wiggins. Look at the gaps appearing now on this twisting and technical circuit. Of course, moves over so many different types of road surface too. You've got tarmac, you've got pave, and you've got these pedestrianised areas. Also that drain on the left-hand side. Extremely technical, Anthony.
Well, you know, Matt, when you go around and you look at a circuit like this, you've got to pick out how am I going to go around this corner and how am I going to not come to grief as well as I go through the different lines.
Well, that's why you see so many riders early on in the race willing to sit on the front. We know it's harder on the front. It looks like Liam Stone's there just coming into the pits, an untimely puncher, but it's worth mentioning here, Anthony, no laps out the sheet in any criterium races in Great Britain at all.
Well, that is a rule change that has happened in the last 12 months, and it means that riders have to... there's a crash on that corner. I think it was Wavy Lines.
It looks like it was wavy Davy lines. Let's hope he picks himself up, but it shows, Anthony, on these circuits there's hardly any margin for error at all.
And another crash here. The man who had that bike change, he has come down on the corner. So these riders right on the limit, and some of them are just coming in a little bit hot to these corners and overcooking it.
Well, definitely Liam Stone's there because of this no lap out rule, having to chase hard, perhaps taking one risk too many, but I'd say it's game over for him. But here's a split. It's Andy Tennant for Team Wiggins there in the blue and the red, just taking the bend, closely followed by Dale Appleby of NFTO.
Andy Tennant, what a fantastic season he is having. He won the Cycle Wiltshire Grand Prix. Oh, someone go, oh, big crash there. A load of riders going down.
Yeah, it looks like it was one of the riders from One Pro Cycling who went down first, closely followed. I think that was a Richard Hepworth, went over the top. Here it is again in slow motion. It's like just hit that drain cover just in the centre of your screen. And quite amazingly, Rhys Lloyd from NFTO managed to avoid the crash, actually rode over the back wheel, but not so lucky for Will Fox, who also went over the bars. Let's hope all those riders, Anthony, are okay.
Yeah, let's hope they're okay. That was a very, very big crash, but on a technical course, if you are trying to win a race, you've got to take a few risks. Andy Tennant then still maintaining the tempo on the front, a European track champion riding here for this Wiggins team. He just won stage 2 of the Flèche de Sud as well. He's having a great year.
Absolutely superb year. Done a couple of steady years. Rode for Madison Genesis last year, but good to see him back in the mix. Of course, looking forward to Rio, perhaps as part of the GB Team Pursuit squad next year. But certainly looking very, very sprightly today. And as you said, Anthony, he's coming off the back of illness, looking pretty strong at the moment.
And of course, he doesn't come from too far away from here, comes from Wolverhampton, as we see a smaller group now having emerged at the front after that crash. Tennant keeping the tempo nice and high. Through the corner, one of the riders still on the right-hand side, but he's getting good attention, and I'm sure he'll be back on his feet soon.
He certainly is, and this time through it's Dale Appleby, closely followed by Bogdan Koniecki of Rally GAC, and then John Mould of One Pro Cycling on his wheel, also in the mix. Looks like it's only about 10 or 15 riders there. I also saw Felix English of Condor GLT. So an interesting little group, some very, very talented Criterium riders in the mix here.
Well, this event back on this Elite Circuit Series calendar, and the riders now starting to pick up the pace again, and it's John Mould of One Pro Cycling. You can pick him out with his bright yellow shoes as he makes his way off the front.
Without a shadow of a doubt, Anthony, one of the standout Criterium riders of the last few seasons in the UK. His sense perhaps a little lull there. Again, the group pretty big, perhaps a little bit too big to start working together, and has sensed the opportunity to go clear. And he is used to this. He won a round of the Tour Series solo this year, and then won 3 rounds, all of them in solo style last year as well. But at Forging Clear, and that's Evan Oliphant trying to bridge the gap.
Evan Oliphant in the gap there. Andy Tennant sensing the danger. Adam Blythe, the national champion in the white jersey, sitting towards the back now, but having a better night than he had in Otley. He went on the attack early in Otley, and then he just got held up by the crash, and then he was a little bit faltering as he ran in towards the finish. Oliphant, can he get across now to John Mould?
So Andy Tennant sensed the danger there, didn't want to let 2 riders go clear. He bridges back to Oliphant, and meanwhile John Mould from Newport rounds that corner again. That familiar style of his, tends to use Anthony at larger gear, rolls it round but with remarkable efficiency. And of course, this really is the best place to be. You can pick your line around this technical circuit. No worries of the other riders around you, but look at the devastation that has been caused behind.
Yeah, splits all over the place. Contrasting cadence for John Mould on the front here. You're absolutely right. You can see sometimes in these criteriums the rider's pedaling very, very fast, but he just doesn't do that. He almost just hauls that bike around the course, and he sometimes doesn't even look like he's going that fast. But believe me, he's going very rapidly indeed.
Well, I can tell you what, you can tell he's going fast just by the grimace on his face. Obviously cutting through the air as Harry Tanfield, standout talent from this year. for Condor GLT, rolling through 9th place on a stage of the Tour de Yorkshire. Mixing it with some of the greats of world cycling was Tanfield. What a find for the team. He's trying to use his horsepower now to bridge across to the Flying Welshman.
I think Harry Tanfield's like a baby-face assassin. He's one of those riders, he just looks so young, and yet his power in the sprint is incredible. This tempo very high now.
With John Mould still flying solo with just after half distance and some splits happening just behind.
John Mould, the solo leader in this Stafford Grand Prix, signalling to everyone he has 4 laps of this effort to go, and his advantage around about 23 seconds on the chasing group.
It's a pretty significant lead over such a short circuit. I'd imagine, Anthony, that would equate to around 400 metres on a circuit like this. But what he can't do is ease up at all. And obviously, as each lap goes by, there's going to be more urgency in the chase. That's Chris Lawless there with the beard for Team Wiggins just going through. There is a bit of a concerted chase now, but have they left it too late?
Well, that's the big question. Dave McGowan sitting in 2nd place, but this man is impressive when he goes solo. You can almost imagine, Matt, I wonder whether on a Wednesday evening he goes out in Newport and he rides around the corners and just gets every corner absolutely dialed.
It certainly wouldn't surprise me at all. He's got this down to a fine art, can ride a criterium like no other. As we said, picking his lines, he's got that luxury, but what he hasn't got is the luxury of a wheel to sit on. So increasingly, this is becoming harder and harder for the Welshman.
You'll notice this little bit of the course is very, very slightly out uphill. It doesn't look so bad, but it's starting now to tell on those legs. This rider, a national track champion previously in the Madison and the Omnium disciplines, as he heads now towards the line with 3 laps to go.
Great crowd out here in Stafford, in stark contrast to the weather we had last year. A deluge of rain. He gets the lap board from the organiser. The flash bulbs, 3 laps to go, rounds that corner again, taking exactly the same line each time.
Well, this Staffordshire Cycling Festival is growing every single year. Lots of hard work going on in the background. Last year they had terrible weather. This year it's much, much warmer. And so you can see how much the Stafford crowd love to watch bike racing. Lawless still on the front, Tennant on his wheel.
And then Dale Lapp will be there for NFTO. Also closely marking them. There's only about 10 or 12 riders left, but still John Mould forges on. Looks a little bit like, well, reminds me of the style of Jeremy Hunt. Remember, he used to ride for Banesto, the double national road champion. Very distinctive style. Heels in, sits low, very powerful, and turns that bigger gear.
Well, he's looking good as he goes through that corner yet again. This One Pro Cycling squad, the team that is jointly owned by Matt Pryor, the England cricketer who loves his bike racing, and they are trying to do just something a little bit different and have a sustainable model for that squad, and that's great to see. He's about to lap some riders now.
He certainly is. Well, this is a part of the circuit. When you start lapping riders on a circuit that's very, very tight, it is very difficult. You can get a little bit hindered, but let's have a little glance behind. We understand the lead is still hovering at around 20 seconds as we see the chase behind. And it's amazing, Anthony, the power of John Mould. They don't seem to be eating into his advantage at all.
They certainly don't. 2 laps to go as John Mould goes through, turns left by the podium that he hopes he'll be standing on in around about 4 minutes time. He accelerates again, and now we've got to make sure, can he get past these back markers? And there's some good riders in here.
There certainly is a couple of riders from Team Wiggins. Looks like Mark Christian is there as Harry Tanfield goes to the front. He's certainly not giving up. Adam Blythe still in the mix. George Atkins is there for One Pro Cycling as well. He won't be doing any work. He'll be happy to sit in and perhaps put another rider for One Pro Cycling on the podium. And looks like that was John Mould there, perhaps calling to the motorbike sat right behind to perhaps give some indication that he's coming up behind these back markers.
Yeah, he looks like he wants to have the horn sounded so they know to move over. Because it's so narrow, he needs some space to get himself past. And of course then once he's passed, that's going to play to his advantage because the chasers, such a big group, are going to have difficulty.
Yeah, it is this often happens in criterium. It's no general reflection on the riders behind. He's actually lapping some very, very respectable riders indeed, but it is real testament to the amount of technical and physiological prowess of this rider who powers up this finish straight. rises out of the saddle on this gentle rise.
Mark Christian giving him a little word of encouragement. The morale amongst the different teams is still great. They'll always encourage a great performance as we see John Mould being urged on now by this crowd. He is going to have one lap of racing to go. Now he's just got to get all these corners, these twists and turns absolutely right, and he'll bring home the win.
Well, he's certainly got that final left-hander right. All he has to do is negotiate these last few bends safely. He's got to keep pressing on. Can't really afford to ease up, just in case he has a technical issue, because, of course, no laps out at this point of the race. Well, no laps out at all, in fact. And here's the chasing group, still led by Harry Tanfield of JLT Condor.
Moving up on the outside was Adam Blythe as he tries to find his way towards the front. Blythe looking for a podium finish here. John Mould going through these corners, and he's taken some risks, because on that previous corner I saw him pedal the whole way through, and as you know, Matt, just a little touch of the pedals on that tarmac and you can come down.
Well, this is one of the skill sets of these riders in these criteriums. A lot of riders wouldn't even dream of pedaling around some of these bends, but the margins for error are very, very slim. But if you can keep applying the pressure through corners, it actually makes the bike even more stable.
Well, John Mould's girlfriend is Hannah Walker. I know she follows his racing every single night with a lot of nerves, but tonight she's going to have all smiles. She knows that he's taken this win. John Mould looks around. There's no one there. He's going to ride to victory.
He certainly is. Takes the applause of the crowd as he comes through the shopping centre in Stafford. There's a yawning gap behind. Here's the chase group just jockeying for position.
John Mould sits up, looks around. He is going to take the spoils of victory. What a fantastic solo win by the One Pro cycling rider.
A real display of power there by John Mould. Spent half of the race on his own, out in front. Superb, superb racing. Good stuff. Here we go. Here's the sprint for second.
And it's Adam Blythe in the national champions jersey there in white who takes second place, but thumbs up from John Mould.
It looked like it was Morgan Geske of Raleigh who rounded out the podium.
Here's the results then of the Stafford Grand Prix. John Mould wins for One Pro Cycling, Adam Blythe in second, and Gniewski in third.
What a fantastic finish. With 10 minutes to go, you just broke away there. What was your thought process?
It's just a bit hard, and thought I'd go with that time, and it stuck down the back straight, and it slowly just went out and out. So yeah, I thought it was touch and go for a while, but then the gap went out further enough, and I thought that's all right now.
So was that your game plan going into it?
No, not really. It was really technical, so it's just important to be at the front. And to be honest, when you're on your own, you take the bends faster, and you've got a bit more choice of where you want to go instead of fighting for position.
We joked earlier about, you getting sprayed with champagne, and you said hopefully that'll be you tonight, and it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think that hopefully unlucky Dan isn't here to get me back. So no, look, it's good.
That win tonight puts John Mould at the top of the standings with 56 points. Gniewski consistent in second, and McGowan in third place.
What a week it's been for John Mould in Otley, taking third place and backing that up with a fantastic win here in Stafford this evening. Now, our next round, the third round, we're heading all the way up to Stockton, which is going to be an equally fantastic race. Now, to keep up to date with all the action for the Elite Circuit Series, take a look at britishcycling.org.uk or follow us on Twitter as well with the hashtag Elite Circuit Series. Fantastic evening tonight. I'll see you in Stockton.